Paul, how we doing, man?
Oh, fantastic, Chad Richards. How you doing?
Doing good. Glad to be back.
Always good to be back with you.
Tell me your thoughts on the power of relationships in business and how that relates to a business's margins.
So your margins are squarely in your relationships and how strong your relationships are. So, we've talked before about our customers, listeners' customers live in two spaces. They live in a relational space and a transactional space. And so before they become transactional, that's when we have the opportunity. Very few people take this opportunity, but we have an opportunity to build a relationship with our customers. And by, when we talk about building relationships, it's being visible and communicating with them in a way that they can actually receive what we're talking about in that space. If we do that well, when they go to make a purchase and they have a relationship with us, price is going to be a factor that is further down the list. If they don't have a relationship with us, like say they have a need, what are they going to do? They're going to go, they don't have somebody. They don't have a go-to company. They're going to go to Google.
Sure.
They're going to search, put in their search query, and they're going to get a list of businesses trying to figure out how they're going to solve this problem that they have.
Yes.
And so on that list, if they all are equal in relationship and being known to that person, they're very likely going to just go, the price is going to be the most important thing because there's nothing else to differentiate that list.
Right.
And so when we talk about increasing our profit margins, our relationships with the customer are one of the first places to start.
Yes.
And most people don't do that.
Fully agree.
So here's an example that I like to use is if you need to move something. Like the other day, I moved a dresser upstairs, which is miserable.
In your house?
In my house. The front steps and the stairs up, it's miserable.
Ibuprofen. Okay.
Yes. But, if I'm going to find help to do that, I'm going to call you. In this case, it was Rafi. And we have a really strong relationship.
Yeah.
We're good friends.
Yeah.
Yes was the immediate answer. I'll be right over. And so we got that. We got that thing up there. So, and it's going to stay there. Oh, Ruth, if you're listening, we're not moving that again.
Those are some stairs, man.
So, but let's say that you or Rafi are not available, and I have to go to another person that I have a relationship with, but not as strong as with you. Then I'm probably going to call James and say, "Hey, buddy, can you come help me move this dresser? I've got some beer, we can enjoy afterwards." So that next layer out is costing me a little bit more to get this help.
Sure.
But if he's not available, then I've got to call Tony, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, I need some help.
Yeah.
But I got some beer and pizza."
Right.
So it's going to cost me even more to get there.
Sure.
So it's not much different when we're looking at businesses that are trying to get customers and the cost of what it takes to get that customer. And then not just the cost to get them there, but then what they do with, beating you up on price and making that purchase.
Right.
The stronger the relationship we have, the easier it is for them and the faster they're going to be to select us.
Yes.
And price is going to be lower on the list of things that are priority. Now, not all the time. You've always got price buyers.
Oh, sure.
But if we're doing things well, if we've got a good strategy in place and we understand what our customers are doing, then building those relationships in the right way are going to increase our profit margins.
Absolutely.
I don't know anybody who doesn't want to do that.
No, well, yeah. I mean, they should be doing that. Absolutely. I think the margins are where the power is.
Yeah.
It just kind of. I had a story here. I went through this recently, and it's really right in this wheelhouse. So about a year ago, I was looking to buy a thermal scope for my hunting needs. And I was looking at one in particular that was not out yet.
Yeah.
And I liked it, wanted it. And I called the company that I had seen that not necessarily the most prominent company, but they were the ones that resonated with me the most because of how they went about addressing these different scopes and how they explained them. So I found them on a podcast and went to a website and finally called, and they were like, "Look, man, it's not out yet, but it's coming. We don't know exactly when, but we'll let you know." Well, fast forward a year, and I thought, man, this thing. Well, guess what? It came out. They sent me a notification and said, hey, just want to let you know it's here. So I called and I talked to a salesperson there at the company, and he said, hey, yeah, we do have it, but let me talk to you for a second about another one that's out as well.
Yeah.
2 different scopes in the same ballpark of price, right?
Yeah.
And he went through all the different features and benefits and all the things that were really important to me when making such a larger purchase, right?
Yeah.
And he spent a while with me, discussing this, and it didn't push me, but I purchased the one that he didn't recommend, but the one that he brought to my attention.
Yeah, he made you aware of
another option. And so they sent it to me overnight, paid for the insurance, and when it came, they got a notification and they sent me an email. Said you've received your scope, it's been shipped. If there are any issues or any problems, please let us know ASAP.
Yeah.
So we can address this. Okay. Could I have gotten that scope somewhere else for maybe a little bit less money?
Guarantee it.
I feel pretty confident I could. $300, $400, $500. Okay, great. But at the end of the day, it's just the process and the way they made me feel.
Yeah.
They were my go-to guys for scopes.
Yeah.
And they will continue to be. So if I ever have anyone or hear of anyone talking about wanting a thermal scope, I'm going to say, guys, listen.
Yeah.
This is where you need to go.
And what did you do 10 seconds after you got off that phone call?
Oh, I contacted you and said, man, these guys are great.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. And again, I mean, I think that this is talked about so much in such a mystical, magical way that and it makes people think, oh gosh, I mean, what are we talking about? I mean, this is some kind of an elusive object. No, it's not.
No, it isn't.
It's simple.
Yep.
It's just taking the time to communicate and talk to people one at a time, and make them feel validated, make them understand what's going on, and make them want to do business with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, that's what building relationships are. If we go to a party or we're out and we're meeting somebody new, and we start to see what commonalities do we have.
Sure.
Where are you from? If you're from the same city, what school did you go to? Hey, do you know this guy? Yeah, I know that guy. Do you believe what he did in high school? We start looking for these commonalities, and in each thing that we identify with each other, we build a stronger relationship. And so business is no different. It's like if you can't begin to speak to directly to a single customer, like I know that everything rolls up to numbers and a monthly, quarterly, yearly, and all that stuff, but it starts with one customer at a time.
Oh yeah.
If you can't speak to them in a way to build that relationship, and it really is building like one brick at a time, whatever analogy you want to use, but you have to get through these layers, because if you stop at the third layer, like I mentioned earlier, and you have to use a lot of beer and pizza to get them there, that's not a very strong relationship.
No, it's not. And you end up competing on price and becoming a commodity.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that when you have a really strong relationship with somebody and you reach out and say, hey, Chad, can you come help me out? Then you're going to bring the beer to me. And that's when you've got that strong relationship. And in business, it's having that relationship through the transaction. And then what you did with that scope is you got off the phone, you made the purchase, you immediately called me. Dude, let me tell you about this. Yeah. Because it was that good of an experience. It made such an impact.
Look, he could have sold me the one that I've been calling about or waiting on for a year.
Yeah.
Right? He could have just said, yeah, man, come on. But he didn't. He took the time, and I'm sure he's got other things to do as well, right? He took 20, 30 minutes going through this with me. And it would just, that stuck out with me in such a huge way.
Yeah. And you mentioned that they had a podcast. Now, not everybody needs to have a podcast.
No.
But what they chose to communicate with you by a podcast, and they did it over a year's time. I mean, think about that. You spent a year waiting on a product.
I did.
That you probably could have 10 minutes after you discovered that it was going to be a wait, purchase something else.
Yeah, I could have.
I mean, so that business not only built a relationship, but built a strong relationship enough to wait a year.
1 year.
That's crazy.
1 year. Yeah, they did. And I kept going back to and watching their podcast and just getting the information and just trying to learn more, you know. And as I was doing that, I began to, you know, kind of build this kind of relationship with these guys as they were talking and stuff. So yeah, it's really a powerful thing. What do you think one of the major reasons why many businesses struggle with it?
Because they don't have a really good understanding of it. There's so many things that have turned into cliche buzzwords.
Yeah, BS.
And you've got there are so many things a business can do, but they'll skip over the most fundamental thing. And so it's like, if you can't articulate who you are, it's your brand, you're going to leave it up to chance, and it's really hard to build a relationship with somebody and to make that connection if you can't articulate it yourself. It's like, again, being at a party and walking away from a conversation, like, oh man, I totally forgot to tell them about this thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And so business owners, it's so easy to skip and to cut corners because, dude, you can have an advertisement out on Facebook or LinkedIn in less than 5 minutes.
Oh, I know.
So,
scary.
I mean, if you got that level of quick dopamine hit access because somebody clicked on it versus taking the time to actually build a solid foundation and build a brand so that you can build a relationship so that you can increase your profit margins.
Yeah, right. Do you ever feel like, well, you know, I know we're going to continue standing on this soapbox, right?
Oh, yeah.
But at some point, it's like, golly, man, we just keep going back to it and going back to it. The reason why we do and go back to the foundation and making sure that the foundation is solid and strong is because nothing that you do without a solid foundation is going to be successful.
No.
It's not.
No.
You can go to business, you can go to market without it, and you may have some sales, right? You may have some things go your way for a while. But at the core of it, if you don't have a solid foundation, you're in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, you
trouble.
can, if you define sales or success as a grind, then yeah, you'll be really successful.
Go ahead and have at it. But that's not a place I want to live.
No.
You know?
No, not at all.
It's a time sucker, it's a money sucker, and it just brings everything into such a hard place of business.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
And I think another reason why is because business owners are really they get very busy and doing what they do every day and trying to be successful and helping customers and also helping employees do their jobs.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very difficult to go alone. Ideally for us and what we do, it would be fantastic to be able to meet every business owner in the initial stages.
Yeah.
Okay, of saying, hey, I've got this idea. You know, I'm ready to take this to market, right? But it's not the reality.
No.
I mean, a lot of times people, you know, they really they believe they can do it themselves.
Yeah.
And they kind of just get a logo put together and throw a website together and let's roll. We're gonna make big money.
Yeah.
But you know, the great thing about what we do as well is we're able to meet people where they are.
Yeah,
okay?
that's critical.
It is, because we're not able to reach everybody in the beginning and say, hey, stop, just pause, man, take a deep breath, relax a little bit, let's go back to the foundation of this thing and build it right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that really sets you up for building those relationships.
It does.
Because most businesses that we encounter, and just whether it be that we work with or just observe, they're stuck in that transactional chase.
Yes.
They're just chasing the transaction, and a lot of that comes from just overlooking the step of that solid brand foundation. Because when you really understand it, we all desire it. Every business owner desires it, but they haven't found it. But when you find that, and that's one of the things that I just love so much, is just seeing that look of relief and enlightenment. To be able to put together an understanding of, hey, this is how a human being, a consumer, this is how they work.
Yeah,
this is how it all happens.
There's psychology involved.
Yeah. This is who you are. You're not expressing this, so let's express your brand, and let's not leave it up to chance. And then let's match this up with your business cycle, and it's like, it's a beautiful thing.
It is
when you put it all together.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And it makes me sad because there's just so many people that don't. For whatever reason, they don't have the wherewithal to look for that help, and it's easy to fall into that. I mean, heck, I've fallen into that trap before.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
it's easy to fall into, but it's help is not far away.
No, and I mean, it's if you can't do it yourself and you can't get it right, which a lot of business owners can't, you're gonna have to end up paying somebody like us $35,000 to do it. But here's the thing: no matter who you use, make sure that they know what they're doing, they know how to lay the foundation correctly, and it will pay off big time in the end.
Yeah,
right. It's an investment
Yeah.
that people have to understand.
Well, because again, it sets you up to be able to actually make and build those relationships, and it goes back. I mean, it just there's just no other way to say it. Your margins are in the strength of your relationships,
All day, every day.
every single day.
Yes.
And it is not an unattainable knowledge. It's learnable, and it can be applied to so many facets of a person's business.
Sure.
And then it actually helps people out.
Yeah.
And then there's the margin of time. You know, if you have a good solid foundation and a good strategy, you get a lot of time back. And everybody wants to increase their time margins.
Man, do they ever?
Yeah.
You know, we all want to spend more time with our children, our families, and doing the things we love. So,
Yeah.
so let's continue beating that same, getting on that box, and we'll keep hammering away at it,
Absolutely.
hoping we're resonating with someone.
Every single day.
All right,
single
man.
day.
I've enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Until next time.
We'll do it. See you.
See you.